Trains have always been a part of my life. From a young age, my dad shared his love of trains. As a young boy, my dad would carry my grandfather's lunch to him at the ice plant, where he worked as a steam engineer along the main line of the Northern Pacific in my hometown. When my dad was a young boy, my grandfather gave him a 3-rail American Flyer train set. And when I was 6 years old, my dad, with a little help from Santa, got me into Lionel and O-gauge trains. We had a lot of fun building various layouts, plus many running sessions with my parents, grandparents, and friends.
Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas from the Apple and Orange line. It's Christmas Day 2022, December 25th, 2022. Hard to believe. And this is a very special episode of the Apple and Orange line, a very special train. I've mentioned in some of my recent videos, I have this box. It's a 1978, September 21st, 1978 case of Franciscan California Burgundy wine. However, that's not what's in the box. In the box, it says, whoa, it says here on the top, Dad's Train. And this, according to the box, is an American Flyer 1936 Transformer Model 1269. Now, this is probably the train that caused me to become a Lionel fan and got me into Lionel trains, because my dad got this for Christmas 1936, and he was born in February 1933, so he was almost 4 years old. And he and I were born in the same hospital, just about maybe a mile and a half from where I'm sitting right now. And he grew up maybe 2 miles from where I am for the most part, up until the 3rd grade, and then he moved to Seattle. His dad was a steam engineer at the local ice plant here in Yakima, Washington. And then during World War II, my grandfather got a job working for Boeing to help develop the pressurization system for the B-29. At the time, it was the XB-29. And I actually just found my grandfather's birth certificate. He was born in San Antonio, Texas. And his father was born in East St. Louis, and his mother was born in Baku, Illinois, which is a little town in southern Illinois, east of St. Louis. And they left there and moved to Texas. And at the time my grandfather was born, my great-grandfather's occupation on his birth certificate was motorman on a streetcar in San Antonio, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know that. He was a Texas Ranger and helped build bridges. He was a millwright, was his real profession and occupation. And then he helped build bridges for the Texas Rangers, which I think was why they went to Texas. And then he eventually got in a meatpacking business during World War I, made a small fortune. And then after that, they moved, just after World War I, about 1920, they moved up here and lived here for the rest of their lives. My grandfather, my dad's dad, they left here during World War II and never returned. They stayed in Seattle. But my dad and my mom returned back here before I was born, and they lived the rest of their lives here. So my dad died almost 8 years ago. It was actually 8 years ago today, Christmas. I'm filming this on Christmas Eve, that my dad actually fell ill during dinner. My mom, dad, and I were having dinner, and he wasn't feeling well, and was kind of going downhill right in the middle of dinner. And so we called 911, called an ambulance and everything, and got him to the hospital. And that's actually when he was diagnosed with cancer, and he died 5 months later. So in May, it'll be 8 years since my dad died. Well, when my dad died, I knew my mom and I planned a party for my dad, and he didn't want a funeral or anything like that. So we planned this celebration party to get around that rule. And we anyway, one thing we did is we laid out actually the plywood prairie train table. We set that out at the entrance to the club where we had the party, and my mom had a nice linen tablecloth on it, and we put out a lot of my dad's things. And he was a surgeon, and when he was in medical school, or actually college, a doctor that had saved his life when he was in high school gave him I think it was an 1898 or 1892 Zeiss microscope, which was a major brand of microscope back in the day, and gifted that to him. And so we laid out a bunch of his things on this table. And one of the things I really wanted to have on that table he had his Boy Scout, all of his Boy Scout, like a sash, I think you call it, had all of his merit badges and things on it. And so all these things that we set out on the plywood prairie train table. And the one thing I really wanted to have on the train table was the train. And I wanted it running, but at minimum, I wanted it on display because it was a really important item to my dad when he was a little boy, and then when I was a boy, he got me into Lionel trains. And part of the reason I think he got me into Lionel, we had been into HO prior to that, and prior to my being 6 years old, we had, before my birth up through about that point, we had HO trains, and there'll be more on the HO trains coming up in the What's in the Box series here on the Apple and Orange line. And if you haven't already, please smash that like button and click subscribe, so you'll catch these future episodes of What's in the Box. So I think one of the reasons my dad wanted to get into three-rail Lionel trains was so he could run his train. And when we had his celebration of life, I really wanted to have this train. And I looked all over my parents' house. I scoured every corner. I looked everywhere. I looked, all over everywhere. And I couldn't find it. And I thought, honestly, sometimes my parents would have people come in to do work on the furnace or something, and they'd be, oh yeah, we'll just open the garage door. You can just go in and out of the garage, and they just leave the garage door wide open with, some guy out there working. And I think some tools and some things walked away over the years, and I really thought this had walked away or something had happened to it. And I didn't remember, but about 20 years ago, my dad, I was going down I had a storage unit, and I was either going down there to get something or take something down there. And my dad gave this to me and said, go put this in your storage unit. And, at the time, we didn't open it up or go through it. He had gone through it recently, and he would go through all my trains frequently. But I didn't remember that at all at the time. Just sometimes you forget things. And so this really drove me crazy for 7 years to the day. And it was a year ago in May, right on the anniversary of when my dad died. And actually there were a few other items. I had something else here that I could show you, but there were a few other really kind of important little memento things that I wanted to put on that table at my dad's celebration. And I couldn't find them. And I would, and it was actually a couple months after my dad had passed away. And I would say, Dad, help me find this thing. It's around here somewhere. And I kept asking him about this, but and sure enough, like the next day I would open up a cupboard or a drawer or something, and there was this item I was looking for. And I had this experience with when both of my parents passed away. My mom died more recently. And it was really kind of funny. Sometimes it was important documents or a piece of jewelry or something really that was pretty important. And I couldn't find it, and I would ask them. I'd be like, "Where is this thing? Show me. Take me to this thing." And it almost every time this item would appear, or I would open a cupboard or a drawer or something, there it was. And so. And even if I'd looked in the same spot before, I didn't see it. And then all of a sudden, here's this item. And so I literally, this was driving me crazy. And it was the anniversary of my dad's passing of May 30th last year. And I was just like, I said it earlier that day. I was like, Dad, tell me where that train is. I need the train. And then I'd gone out to my storage unit, which is like on the other side of town. And I rolled up the door, and I was getting some stuff out of there. And I have like furniture and some different things and boxes and stuff, and then stacked up high. And like way up high, I see the label on this side, Franciscan wine, and I see that this is a really old box. So most of my boxes are like newer, kind of boxes, but this is an old looking box, and I see this thing way all the way at the top, way up high. And I stood on other boxes to get up to it, and like the boxes that I'm standing on are all sinking down. Who knows what was in those boxes? I'll figure it out sometime, but I get way up there, and I'm like way up on top of my, like the tips of my fingers. I'm like up there, just kind of finger moving this box off of the other boxes, and I lower it down like an elevator. I bring it down, and I'm like, what in the heck is this? And then I see Dad's train on there. I'm just like, oh geez, here it is. So somehow, since then, I have not opened this box. I broke the tape open and I just kind of looked in, and it says, right here, it says Ameriflyer. Now, when I was a little kid, actually, when my dad was a kid, he actually, because the baked enamel on here, this is a tin plate train, he actually put this in the oven at his mom and dad's house when he was a little boy. He put it in the oven and baked it because it was baked enamel. I guess he wanted to bake the enamel. So he sent it off when I was a little kid, and we got into O-gauge Lionel trains. He sent it off and had it refurbished at some place. He saw an ad in a train magazine, Model Railroader or something, and so he sent the train off and had it refurbished. And then he sent it out again not too long before he died, or some years before that, before he gave it to me, and had some things done on it again. But so I don't know if it works, because it was in a storage unit in the 115 degree summer heat and minus whatever winter frigid temperatures like we're having now. So it was in the storage unit for probably about 20 years. And so I really honestly can't say if it works or not. There's a transformer for it. I could run it on my Lionel track. One of the reasons we got Gargraves track for part of our layout when I was a kid was, I think we had two Gargraves tracks going around with the black center rail. And part of the reason for that was because of this train, because I forget what the minimum curves are on this. It could be like 042 or something, but it's probably more than 031, but maybe 036 or 042 or something. There's a minimum for this, but it does beg the question, if you know about these old American Flyer 3-rail, this is O-gauge, not S. Please let me know. This is, they were kind of, I think, a competitor to Lionel, or kind of in the early days of Lionel, that these guys were competitors. And then I think Lionel bought American Flyer and eventually turned American Flyer, the brand, into the S-gauge, so 2-rail, very similar to Lionel. But so if you know anything about these, I would love to hear, any direction you can point me on these, or any information you know about these. So since it's an unboxing video, I thought what we would do is unbox my dad's train. And again, this, I believe he received this in 1936 for Christmas. And I just found a picture, which I think I should have on this video, of my dad's family Christmas tree probably in the 30s or 40s. And they had a bunch of train sets, and they had these big 2-rail tubular tracks. I don't know if they're G or what they are. If you see the picture and you know what anything is in the picture, again, please leave a comment or let me know. But this picture that I just found, I had no idea. I thought this was the only train that my dad's family had when he was a kid. Turns out they had quite a few trains, and I'm a little bit jealous, because they may have had more trains than we had. I thought we had a lot of trains, and then as I've learned more about trains and follow YouTube and the O-gauge forum, I realized we didn't have that many trains. So some of you have a lot of trains. So let's open up this box and see what's in here, because honestly, I don't know what's in here. I mean, I think I know what's in here. I think it's my dad's train, but outside of that, I don't know for sure. So let's jump in the box and Okay, so here we go with the unboxing of the American Flyer 3-rail tin plate electric train from 1936. And this table that I'm unboxing it on is actually pertinent to the story, because in my introduction video on YouTube, I've got a picture of my dad and his brother. His two brothers are still alive, and the middle brother is with my dad on the floor playing with this train. And in the background, in the very back left corner of that picture, is a radio on a table, which was known as a radio table back in the old days. Pretty big, good-sized radio when they moved away from the floor model radios, which we had one of those when I was a kid too, that was from my dad's family, but it was actually from my dad's grandparents. But and I wish I had that radio now, because we had that in like our rec room where our trains and everything were. And it was pretty cool, and it was old and big. And I think when we moved out of that house when I was about a senior in college, I think that's when that train went away. But I do have from my dad's grandparents, the ones from Illinois who moved to Texas and then moved here. I have their wedding present, which was a dining room table. It's in my dining room right now. And then I also have their treadle Singer sewing machine from early 1900s. I ran the serial number a while back, and I think it was about 1910, but I don't remember exactly. I can look it up again. But so I've got some really cool things from that side of the family. And then my dad's family had this table right here, was their radio table. And so in the picture of my dad on the floor playing with this train, this table is in the very back left corner of that picture. And so it seems only fitting that I sit here and use this table to open the American Flyer train. So there we go. Now these newspapers in here might be a clue, or ads. A lot of ads. An actual newspaper would be helpful. To establish the date, 2008. Okay, so yeah, what was that, about 13? Yeah, about 13 or so years ago. So interesting. It's well packed, and there's track. We have kind of rusty old 3-rail track, but it's pretty much the same, isn't it? So that's pretty cool. We can find out what the curve on these are. So track, and hopefully there's not a piece of missing track, because I don't know who I'll call to get that replaced. I'll have to make a whole video about it. All right, so here's the missing piece. Okay, so I'm going to set the track aside. Fortunately, there's lots of paper on the floor to stack it on. Okay. Each piece is individually wrapped, I believe, so I was hoping to catch a glimpse of what's in here. Okay, all right, here this is going to be the transformer, I feel. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use this. I had a I think it was the Power Master, the bigger old with the big lever, maybe 2 levers on it. Not huge, Z80 or anything, but I think it was called the Power Master. Anyway, I have one of those from my childhood, and my dad had put a note on there, "Do not turn on inside the house." So if that one isn't safer in the house, oh Lord, this relic is definitely not starting this one up. It's got that old kind of almost fabric cord. It's all molded in place. So there's the transformer. If you know anything about these, please let me know. I'll read and see what it says on here. 75, is that what it says? 75 or 7.5? Yeah, it's a model 1269. 75 watts, American Flyer, manufactured company, Chicago, Illinois, transformer 100 to 120 volts, 50 to 60 cycles, alternating current only. Model 1269, 75 watts. So, yeah, pretty cool. But I'm going to set it aside for right now. It's got the posts on here. So pretty, oh, there's one over here too. Interesting. We'll come back to that. Now for the real deal. It's a piece of paper. Okay, here we go. I don't know what I'm going to pull out first. Looks like a rail car. So here we go. It's pretty exciting, actually. I was afraid this was going to be like pretty emotional, and actually, it's more exciting. I'm excited to share this and with all of you and see what's in here. So here we go. Looks like a passenger car. So it says American Flyer Lines. Yeah, nice. And it's actually it's got some dust on it actually, which is curious. But with it being all wrapped up and boxed up, it's a little curious how it would collect dust like that. But it's got kind of a fine powdery dust on there, and so we'll get those cleaned up. So there's the first item. Ooh, this is a heavy one here. I think I know what that's going to be. We'll just set it there for a moment. Let's see what else we got here. The whole bottom of this is full. I think I know what that is also. So, okay, what do we have here? Looks like another car. Ooh, this one, the top is coming off. So here's another, very much very similar to the last one. The cool thing, they see these couplers, they have the little bent L coupler like an old Lionel coal car. But then in the top of it there's actually a slot in the top, so they connect. Pretty cool. And these have pickups on the, do they? Yep. Okay. Yeah, on the right there, looks like a pickup there and nothing there. So I believe there are lights. Yeah, I see there's a big light bulb in each car. So they do have lights. And this one here, there's the light, like a Christmas tree light bulb almost. So pretty cool. That one, the top is pretty loose on it, so I'm sure there's a way for it to connect on there. I'm guessing there's probably a couple more of these. I wonder if there's like an observation car. I don't remember all the details of this train. It's the color I remember, and about the size that I remember. But by contrast, if I can... So there's another one, kind of the same thing. They're not numbered or anything, I don't believe. So there's one more car in here, I believe. Let's see what we have here. So, oh, this is an observation car. How cool. Yeah, see, I couldn't remember about that. So this was off limits. When I was a kid, this train, I didn't even know where it was. It was hidden, but my dad would bring it out and he'd run it on our layout. And if he had a friend or somebody over, he was showing off my trains and stuff. So there's the observation platform there. He would pull out this train, or if his dad or brothers or something were visiting, this thing would kind of appear out of nowhere. He'd run it. And then it would go back into hiding because, we were not allowed to destroy this for him. So it was his special thing. So part of the reason I'm pretty honored to have it. And so, oh yeah, here we go. Right here. There's an American Flyers line tender coal car right there. How about that? There's a load of coal in there. Quite a coupler on there too. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Got nice. The graphics and everything look pretty nice. This side over here. It's actually in, I think it's in better shape than I was expecting. It's a little dusty, a little dirty, but like a really fine powdery dust on here. So kind of interesting. Now we know what's in here, right? I want to drop it. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh my God. Oh, good grief. How about them apples? Got a 242, I guess. How about them apples right there? Oh, I couldn't remember what the, I'm thinking this isn't the one that was in the picture. This is more, this is more of a real steam engine. And I was kind of picturing that I wasn't sure if it was I couldn't remember what it looked like. But yeah, it's very, see, it's very similar to a Lionel. So it got a coupler in the front, which is pretty cool. That headlight though, oh, look at that. Oh, that's cool. For the age, it's really, it's really pretty similar to modern modeling. That's incredible. This thing weighs a ton. I'm not sure. I'll set it here. So, I couldn't remember. I thought it was a steam engine like this, but I really couldn't remember. There's a switch here. So I wasn't quite sure, but I think what we'll do is, we have to run it, right? You can't unbox a train like this and not run it. It's Christmas, right? So Christmas 2022. So this is 86 years old today. It's pretty cool. So my dad, he would have been 3, almost 4. Looking in the smokestack, I'm not sure there's something there. I don't remember if this smokes or not. It might. So I'll show you here. There's right there. I don't know if you can see the smokestack. There's that white in there. I'm not sure if that's like a wick or something. This is the unfortunate part, is I don't remember, because I was a kid, and this was pretty much off limits. So I didn't really ever handle it like I've been handling it over the last few minutes. And I didn't really play with it much. My dad would get out, he would run it, we'd be there and everything. But I didn't really have a lot of experience with it. So again, if you have experience with these, or have knowledge, or can point me to a club or a website or a forum or something on these, I'd like to learn more, because unfortunately, that's the unfortunate thing, is I can't ask my dad. And so he would tell me all about it. It's just surprisingly clean and really, really sharp, really sharp looking here. So I think this was all redone, maybe, which would have been, more than 40 years ago. So I would say in the early to mid 70s, because it wasn't right away when we got Lionels that we had the Gargraves track. I've got a piece of Gargraves track right here. But as for my next unboxing, So tune in tomorrow when we unbox the MTH train that I was going to unbox today. Or yesterday. But we'll do that tomorrow because it's a holiday, and it's my first MTH train. I've never had one before, but we're gonna put that on, maybe on the Gargraves, and maybe right here on this here radio table. But anyway, so it's pretty cool. These cars, the tender, pretty cool. So I must just hook on right there. So, I mean, it would be a crime to not run this train, right? I mean, should we run it? What do you think? Yeah, we should run this train. We're running this train. I'm going to see if I can run it on the fast track that I already have underneath the tree. I'll put a transformer on there, and we'll give it a whirl. But so this is the special train. Wow, what a special train it is. Actually, this locomotive is special. I mean, I didn't know. I couldn't remember. But this is a prized possession. You know, I mentioned a couple other things I have that are like from my great grandparents, and I actually have some things from my mom's grandparents, my great grandparents on my maternal side, from Scotland, and some really cool things. But they're not trains. And my great grandfather in Scotland, he did work in the railroad industry. I think he worked in the Brassey Works, which like refurbished rail cars. They built them, I think, built and refurbished passenger rail cars. So, and then a lot of my dad's family on both of my dad's parents' sides worked in the railroad industry. But what a cool thing, you know. This, maybe I'll send the Polar Express back and just put this under the tree from now on. No, just kidding. I think I want the Polar Express under the tree, so some little kid comes over, they can tackle it, and I won't be out too much. But this, to me, is worth gold. So enough babble. Let's run this train. Okay? Stay tuned. Okay, sports fans, so here's the deal. I've hooked up a transformer to this fast track, and I have not turned it on except before I put the train on. I did turn it on, and I got red power lights on both of the straight fast tracks that have the power adapter and the other accessory adapter. So the red lights came on, so I know I have power to the track. Looks like good solid power. So here's the moment of truth. We're gonna fire this baby up. I rolled it a little bit on the track and make sure everything's seems like it's oops. It looks like everything's running real smooth. So here we go. Let's find out. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I don't know if you can see me there. Hello? Stand back and stand by. Let's see. We got power to the track and nothing's happening. Okay, turn it off. Now we got this switch here. That switch was up. Try it again. I don't know which way it goes. Oh, Jesus, it's working. Okay. Happy birthday, Jesus. Here we go. Ready? So, we've got power. How much is this power? No, not being able to see is a problem. So, we've got power. Like it wants to go. Maybe we don't have enough power. I don't want to hurt it. I guess the other option is I could hook up the transformer that came with it. Not sure I want to do that. Nice. We got any lights on the train cars? I don't see any. So it could be my hokey system here. In which case, what I can do is hook up some Lionel track or the track that came with it. Put a pickup on there, and It's so close. Really wants to go, but I don't want to damage it either. So I think we'll turn that off, and we'll also unplug it just so we... Okay. Interesting. So we are close. The other thing I might try is I might put another train on the track and see, just to verify if I've got enough power, because I may have some power issue with that transformer or something. Hey, so thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the Apple and Orange Line, a very special train episode on Christmas Day 2022. And if you have any ideas or suggestions on how I can make the American Flyer 3-rail tin plate 1936 train run, please leave a comment down in the comments section below. And if you haven't already, please smash that like button and click subscribe to see more. We'll have to mess around with this train a little bit more over time. There's no rush. And what I think I'll try to do is see if I can set it up on either the track that comes with it, the old kind of rusty looking track, or I can also try to set it up on some of my 3-rail and just on traditional tubular 3-rail and see if I can get it going. It looks like I have good power on the track, so but I can't verify that right now. So anyway, I did want to share this with you. I think it's pretty exciting, and it's a really cool train and something that I cherish and will certainly. I'm so thankful to have it because I thought it was gone. I thought I lost it or something happened to it. But thankfully, that's not the case. It's right here with me, and it's in good hands now. So if you have any ideas or knowledge about these trains, or if you can point me in that direction, I would really appreciate it. And if I haven't said so already, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year to you and your family. Please stay warm, stay safe, and stay tuned, because we'll be back again tomorrow right here on the old radio table with my first MTH train. We'll unbox that tomorrow right here on the Apple and Orange Line. Merry Christmas, everybody.